I love you, son, but if you're walking around half asleep, anesthetized by your own life, then wake up. Today on the Comic Book Report, Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 1, Married with Children by Jonathan Hickman. Stick around and check it out. Greetings, webheads. My name is Dominic, and today you're tuning in to the Comic Book Report, where we review comic books and graphic novels so you can get an idea of what to read. And today we're taking a look at one of the entries in the new Marvel Ultimate Universe. That's right, we're checking out Jonathan Hickman's Ultimate Spider-Man. This is the Volume 1, and for my money, one of my most anticipated collected trade paperbacks of the year. Cannot wait to discuss this today. This was a really fun one. Before we do, though, I want to shout out the channel sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com. If you're looking to pick up your own comic book collected editions, I highly encourage you to check out their website. You can find a link for it in this video's description, and if you see anything there you like, you can use my discount code at checkout, TheComicBookReport, to save $2 off of your order. Please note if you use my affiliate link or code to make a purchase, I will earn a small commission, but it's a fantastic way to support the channel. Thank you so much for considering. Now let's get started with today's comic book review. First, some quick facts about today's collection. The issues in this volume were written by Jonathan Hickman and penciled by Marco Checchetto and David Messina. The comics in this volume were initially published by Marvel Comics beginning in 2024. The volume itself collects Ultimate Spider-Man, the 2024 series, issues 1 through 6. And finally, this is a standard-sized trade paperback edition with glossy print paper stock, a glued binding, and a total of 168 pages. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and issue a general spoiler warning. I will be flipping through the contents of today's collection and commenting on plot points throughout. You've been advised. Okay, and here's our first look at that trade paperback collection from Marvel Comics. Right from the jump, I do love the design work we have here. We have a field of white with the new Ultimate Spider-Man here in the front right. And then to the left, we have the title, the creators, things like that. Overall, a really sleek design. And I will say they are being consistent with the other Ultimate Universe collections they've released so far, at least Ultimate Invasion. I actually have a comparison shortly. Before we do, though, here's a quick look at that spine. It has a lot of the same information. We have Marvel Ultimate Spider-Man, the title of the volume here, creators, little picture of Spider-Man along with a Volume 1, which I am elated to see as I really enjoyed this first collection. On the back, it's predominantly white with an image of a spider with Spider-Man in it, which is pretty cool. I like the stylization there. Blurb, description about the book, again, creators, pricing, things like that. All pretty straightforward, a little bit minimalist as far as the design work goes here on the back. But overall, I think it's a really sharp-looking collection. No complaints from me. A nice Marvel trade paperback. Now a quick few seconds to look at the binding for this book. Again, it is a glued binding, which is pretty standard for these trade paperback collections. My pages didn't lay down overly flat, even after one reading, but nothing too bad at all. Maybe a little bit of gutter loss, but again, nothing too unexpected here. If you've had any other Marvel trade paperback collections, it's pretty comparable. And now that we're done with the exteriors and the binding, I did want to go ahead and do a comparison to the Ultimate Invasion paperback they released, also by Jonathan Hickman, that precedes this Ultimate Spider-Man collection. Very uniform as far as the detail work here for these paperbacks. I will say Ultimate Invasion is kind of a prelude that sort of sets up this new Ultimate Universe. It follows the exploits of the Maker, one of these really fun Marvel villains if you haven't been following him in recent years. But I do think Ultimate Invasion is worth a read if you're going to pick up Ultimate Spider-Man. Is it 100% essential? I will say you might be a little bit lost as to the nature of this world without it, but it is a fun read. It's only 4 issues, and like I said, Marvel released it in this paperback. Unfortunately, it does not include Ultimate Universe issue 1, which was like a oversized one-shot issue, and that's actually a bridge between Ultimate Invasion and this Ultimate Spider-Man set. So I would have loved to see that included in the Ultimate Invasion paperback, because even myself, I was a bit lost when I first jumped into Ultimate Spider-Man, having not read that single issue. Anywho, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into today's collection. Opening the paperback, we saw that brief ad for Ultimate Black Panther, along with a little spider image like we got on the back of the book, title page, creator page, things like that. And then we jump right into issue 1 of the 2024 series of Ultimate Spider-Man by Jonathan Hickman. So I will say, as I mentioned a little bit earlier here, Ultimate Invasion really does set up the status quo for this new Ultimate Universe. For those that don't know, Marvel created an Ultimate Universe, maybe 2 decades ago now, give or take. That's where we saw the original Ultimate Spider-Man by Brian Michael Bendis and Mark Bagley, another terrific series. I absolutely loved it. But after around 2015 with Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars, we kind of saw the end of that Ultimate Universe. I won't spoil too much, but read Secret Wars if you're interested in what happened to the older Ultimate Universe. But basically, it's been, almost a decade since Secret Wars already, and here we go at the dawn of a new Marvel Ultimate Universe, again here helmed by Jonathan Hickman, who was there at the end of the last one. So really cool stuff here. This is something I had heard a buzz about for quite some time. Being a collected edition comic book collector, I'll sometimes hear really good reviews on single issues that are coming out, and that was the case here with Ultimate Spider-Man. So again, without spoiling too much of that Ultimate Invasion paperback, essentially the maker is responsible for sort of crafting and manipulating a new universe to his own ends, and part of what he does is he basically shuffles the Marvel Universe where he gets rid of some of the heroes, twists some of the villains, and just kind of makes the world into something of his own design. And one of these changes is that the Peter Parker of this universe was never bitten by the radioactive spider as a teenager, and now it's maybe 10, 20 years after when that event should have taken place. He's, approaching middle age. He's married and in love with Mary Jane Watson, yay, and he has 2 kids, an older son and a younger daughter, and he's sort of just living a mild-mannered life. He has a really great home life with his family. He's working at the Daily Bugle under J. Jonah Jameson, and actually his uncle, Ben Parker, who never passed away. And he's living this life, but he doesn't feel fulfilled or satisfied. He has this gnawing feeling that's been part of him as long as he can remember, where he just doesn't feel like he's doing enough. He doesn't feel like he's all he should be. And I believe this is where the events of the Ultimate Universe one-shot came in, but essentially we find out that he's in the possession of a box, and inside this box is that radioactive spider and a holographic message from Tony Stark. And basically he explains what happened with this universe and that he is meant for more. And in the first issue, we basically have him kind of introduced in this world for us newer viewers of this Ultimate Universe. There's been some kind of terrorist attack in recent history within this universe. Again, I believe that was also part of the Ultimate Universe issue. But among the people that died, we have people like Norman Osborn and his beloved Aunt May. So we have this gathering at this kind of memorial site for all the victims of this horrible attack. And this is sort of an interesting catalyst where Peter is just really reflecting on his life and what roads he may have taken or what he can do. And he has, again, this box that is supposed to contain something more. And, he's encouraged by Mary Jane, who maybe doesn't have all the details about this spider, but basically says, hey, go get it. As long as our marriage isn't going to change, as long as you're still here for our family, go for more, be more, you can do it. And he opens it up, gets the spider, and he gets the bite. And by the end of the first issue, he is becoming the Ultimate Spider-Man. I really love this setup. I love that we have a Peter Parker that's aged up a little bit, and I really feel like this is a return to form for longer-term Spider-Man fans who really enjoyed seeing Peter Parker grow and change and mature. We got to see him as a high school student, then a college student, then a grad student, then a husband, and all of this kind of went up to the end of the JMS run on Spider-Man, where the marriage between Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson was taken away, I'll say. I know since then a lot of modern Spider-Man fans feel very polarized about all the runs that came after that, missing predominantly the marriage of Peter Parker and Mary Jane. And so this is kind of an interesting wish fulfillment fantasy for a lot of us comic book fans to see this marriage intact, thriving, and he even has a family. So I really love that we still have the Amazing Spider-Man title, but Hickman has given us something that a lot of fans have wanted for some time, which is a happily married Spider-Man with kids kids who's still trying to do this thing. And I, for one, loved seeing it. Having the wrinkle of it being in its own universe and seeing this Spider-Man being a late adopter to his spider powers. This is not Spider-Man in his prime. This is a fledgling new Spider-Man that just happens to be middle-aged. And I thought that was a really fun take on this new universe. Throughout the issues we're given in this collection, we see this new Spider-Man trying to hone his abilities and being a bit messy, to be honest with you. He now feels that fulfilled feeling of trying to defend the helpless, take out bad guys, but he's, again, still trying to learn the ropes and get his just sort of form down. Along the way, we actually have his young daughter discovering his identity early on. She helps him with his Spider-Man costume, which was a fun little wrinkle as well. And in the background, we have the Green Goblin showing up, which we know as Harry Osborn in this universe. He's trying to take down the villainous Kingpin and the powers that be. This all kind of funnels into a larger conspiracy going on in the Ultimate Universe we have that was set up back in Ultimate Invasion. But we have Harry Osborn as sort of a just really intense vigilante that's morally questionable, and we have him kind of colliding with the Ultimate Spider-Man in a battle with, I think, Bullseye or something. But anyway, it's a really cool little meetup, and we ultimately have them learning each other's identities, Peter Parker and Harry Osborn respectively, and they decide to go get a drink and talk about what's going on. And this is where we have Peter and Harry of this universe befriending each other, and they're kind of trying to fill in the gaps as to what to do, where to go from here. And this leads to an interesting dinner date between Peter and Mary Jane, and Harry Osborn and his wife in this Ultimate Universe, which we find out is Gwen Stacy. Another really fun wrinkle, and I think that this is really something fun with parallel universe kinds of stories. I love seeing older characters remixed in new ways, and certainly seeing Harry paired off with Gwen was a surprise to me, and I did enjoy seeing that. In fact, we have one issue in the middle of the collection that's kind of just their dinner date. This is a really fun book that's really character driven. The climax of the collection, I believe, is a great fight with Spider-Man and Green Goblin battling the Kingpin. And ultimately, the whole book resolves with the rest of his family finding out his identity and Mary Jane basically helping him come up with the name Spider-Man. There's so many other wrinkles in this book, like J. Jonah Jameson and Ben Parker leaving the Daily Bugle to start their own news organization. We have Mary Jane, who is herself an entrepreneur with a successful startup company. Again, a lot of fun stuff here, but that is the shape of this first collection, Ultimate Spider-Man Married with Children. A ton of fun here, and we have some great art from David Messina, and one of my personal favorites, Marco Checchetto. Beautiful, beautiful stuff here. I love seeing Checchetto jump back on in Spider-Man here. I actually liked his Spider-Man when it showed up in the Zdarsky Daredevil run, so this was all good fun, great art throughout. The only issue I had was that this collection just left me wanting even more, so I for one am going to be really eager to pick up the volume 2. At the end of this collection, we are treated to some extras though, which was really fun to see in a paperback collection. We have some character sketches and a load of variant covers in a gallery of sorts, mostly kind of thumbnailized. They're not full reproductions on full pages, which is understandable for a paperback collection, though I would have loved to see that. But it was still great to see so many of the other variant covers that were released in the single issues collected in this collected edition. I really loved a lot of them. I thought that this was a really fun selection of extras at the back, and overall a satisfying wrap up to a great paperback that was much anticipated, at least by me. And that is Ultimate Spider-Man Married with Children, Volume 1 of this new Jonathan Hickman Ultimate Universe. You'll have to let me know in the comments if you've been picking up Ultimate Spider-Man. Let me know what you think. Have you found any of the other Ultimate Marvel titles for this new wave of the Ultimate Universe? Get me those recommendations down below. I know there's a couple series coming out in paperback that I'm curious about, but would love more recommendations. And now all that's left to do is to give this book a grade. Between its beautiful and bold visuals, coupled with its rock-solid character work, The Comic Book Report is happy to give Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 1 Married with Children by Jonathan Hickman, Marco Checchetto, and David Messina an A-. For this Spider-Man fan, I absolutely consider this a must-read Spider-Man collection. I am so eager to see what this universe has in the future, and honestly, this is the most excited I've been for an ongoing Spider-Man title in in some time. An absolute dream team of creators for me, and honestly, this first volume gave me so much of what I was hoping for. This was a blast. Thank you so much for watching with me. Again, let me know what you think in the comments below, and until next time, this has been the Comic Book Report. Please don't forget to give this video a like, that comment we talked about, and maybe share it with a friend. Thanks everyone, have a good one.